Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am once again unprepared for a live stream. Give me just one quick second. I actually decided at the last minute that I would try a test. And I'd actually invite some of you to try this test out with me. If you head over to airdailyx.net, and I should probably make sure my microphone is on. If you head over to airdailyx.net, there is I don't know if any of you are familiar with Periscope, but there is a Periscope icon that you will find at the bottom of every page. So there's like a Twitch icon, an email icon, a blogger icon, Twitter, Facebook, and at the very end there's a little Periscope icon. Well, I am broadcasting right now on Periscope. I'm trying out the Periscope app because at FlightSimCon, I'll be using this as one of the methods to broadcast live during the convention. So I haven't actually really officially done a test of this, and I decided this literally just as the stream was starting here. So I figured, why not have you guys help me test this out and tell me if this is working. So I think the address there is let me see, give me a second, let me pull it up. I'm not sure what the address here is, if you guys want to test that out for me and give me some feedback. And Aerosoft's Fabian is here with us, and Fabian, I'm actually using my cell phone to play around with the Periscope app. So I'm trying to download Skype really quickly here on my laptop. That way you and I can communicate. Fabian has a good idea to maybe do some giveaways during this morning's stream. So that actually sounds... Oh, there he goes. It is working. I'm trying to download Skype really quickly on my laptop. Let's close that. But it's ADX Avatar Guy, I believe. But if you head over to the airdailyx.net website and click on the little Periscope icon, you guys can watch me. Oh, good. You guys can see me. Awesome. Okay, so give me just a second here because I've got to get signed into Skype here on the laptop so that way I can communicate with Fabian so we can figure out how we want to give away some stuff. So give me just a second, folks. I know you're waiting to start the stream, and I'm already late as it is, so give me just a minute. Oops. I don't think that was the right password. So I'm wondering how the quality is. It looks like usually with Periscope the quality is like really pixelated. Let's see here. Oh darn, what's my password? Oh wow, I forgot my Skype password. I can't get in to communicate with Fabian. This is terrible. All right, I know you guys are waiting too. Darn, what the heck did I set my password to? I completely forgot. I can't get into Skype here. Yeah, I might have to do that. I could have sworn that I remembered what it was, though. I'm going to have to edit all of this part out of the YouTube rebroadcast. Shoot, what is it? Alright, let's do one of these freaking hieroglyphic things here really quickly. Sorry, folks. Give me just a second. It'll be worth it since Fabian wants to give some things away. I don't even know how we're going to do that just yet. Let's see here. I literally just decided to do this all at the last minute, so this is kind of terrible. Just bear with me here, folks. So this should be interesting. Give you a little bit of a side-by-side on your screen with the simulator and on one end and me on the other. This will be a very interesting test. Okay, well, Skype did not send me a forgot password email link. Okay, yikes. All right, well, let's see, we're going to have to try something else here. They said they sent a code to my email. There is no code there. I'm afraid they're going to lock me out if I keep doing this. All right, Fabian, let's do it this way. I know it sucks, but we'll do this through email here. It's probably the only way this is really going to work out. I know Gmail usually has a chat feature, but Lars, let's just do this. Lars, I'm sorry. I was looking at an email from Lars. Fabian, let's do this. Just shoot me emails, and we'll just have to communicate kind of through emails. And just let me know how you want to set up any giveaways. I guess if you want to maybe set it up for maybe 100, something like that. And then we can do that. Let me know. And just shoot me your idea, and then I'll head back and take a look at that. In the meantime, Frankfurt, it is time. Frankfurt. Now, for some really odd, kind of crazy reason, and I'm not really sure why this is, but for some really crazy reason, I seem to be remembering that Aerosoft. Let's go full screen mode here. I seem to be remembering for some really odd reason. Oh, that's loud. You can see how prepared I am for my live streams. Yeah, let's turn that way down. That thing is like on super overspeed right now. I'm climbing like the space shuttle. Alright, there we go. Let's get this thing under control. For some reason, I seem to be remembering that Aerosoft released 3 versions of Frankfurt. I don't know why that is. I remember when I bought the first version, and that was like a really long time ago. Gosh, that would have been like maybe 2004 or 2005. I'd have to check my account, but I don't know if I'm remembering it as they released a second version of Aerosoft that was like updated with AES Lite, because I think I remember there being a first version that didn't have AES Lite, and then I remember them releasing a new version, or maybe it was that they released like a big update and included AES Lite and all that, but I don't remember it like when the first Aerosoft Frankfurt was released by the German airports team, assuming that was a developer. I don't remember there actually being like AES Lite and all this stuff. I remember them making an update, but I could be remembering that wrong. I don't know why, but nevertheless. Oh, here we go. Fabian came up with a great idea. There's a private chat in Twitch I didn't even know about. Let me see. I'm still not full screen here. There we go. Let's see here. I can give away... Okay, so we can give away 2 free sceneries. Let's see here. With some random questions. I'm going to have to think of something. If you think of something, Fabian, let me know. I'll see what I can think of. And then we'll give you guys... We'll do this at the end of the stream, and then we'll give you guys some information of how you can win a couple of free copies from Aerosoft. So that sounds really awesome. So we'll do that towards the end of the stream, and we'll come up with something interesting, and then maybe a couple of interesting quiz trivia questions or something, and then I'll give you Fabian's email address, and we can do a couple of giveaways. So awesome, courtesy of Aerosoft. Thank you very much. So nevertheless, I don't know why I thought there was like this is the 3rd version of Frankfurt. I have no idea why I seem to be thinking that, but nevertheless. Here we are. This is the latest version of the scenery, and the only concerns that I saw so far from a lot of folks after the release was that I think there was some concerns with performance. So that's one of the big things we're going to be looking at. Now, granted, Frankfurt is like one of the top 3 ultimate mega airports of the whole of Europe, maybe top 4. And one of the big issues with Frankfurt that anyone's going to have performance-wise is probably when it comes to AI traffic. And this is a killer airport on AI traffic. Now, right now, I do have my AI traffic set on pretty high, and that's going to be temporary because who wants to see Frankfurt without all these beautiful different airlines and liveries and stuff like that? So I at least wanted to just see Frankfurt full of traffic because there are so many different airlines and stuff that you'll see there. So I had to at least turn that on. So we're going to do a little... I have my little Track IR half antler here, but I'm actually not going to use that for now. We'll just do a third-party sort of quasi-landing here. And listen to that terrible alarm there. Let's see here. Should I just ignore all the other airplanes and land? I guess I'll just go for it. But yeah, this was, I think Frankfurt, for me, I believe this was like the 3rd mega airport that I ever purchased for Europe. I'm trying to remember back. My very first add-on, my first add-on, third-party scenery add-on was LAX from Cloud9, because that's obviously my home airport. The second one I purchased was Amsterdam. And that was because Amsterdam had just came out, and I had just gotten home from Amsterdam that year, and I was like, wow, this is perfect. And then, let me see, before Amsterdam, though, was Zurich. I'm from FlyLogic. And then I bought the airports pack from, I think it was SimWings at the time, which included Charles de Gaulle. Ooh, I'm like way below the glide slope here. I think that included like Charles de Gaulle. I think it included, what else came in that package? Ooh, I'm going to take this guy's head off. Let me try to go above him here before I land. I think it came with like Biarritz and something else. As if anyone remembers those really old like SimWings packages from way back in the day. Let's see what else. And then after Charles de Gaulle, I think that's when I went after Frankfurt because I wanted something a little bit further east. I had Heathrow Pro from FlyLogic. Actually, Heathrow Pro came before Amsterdam, if I remember correctly. That was from UK 2000, the old Heathrow Pro. Man, this seems like just a million years ago. So I mention all that because all of these old airports that I remember buying like 10, 15 years ago have pretty much all been redone now, which is great. And now we can try to take a little bit of a look at performance. Just as a kind of a reminder, I am using the broadcasting software on the same PC that I'm simming on, so those of you who broadcast probably already know that broadcasting software does take quite a punch on the CPU. So you just might want to bear that in mind just a little bit because I can't completely blame the scenery. And also, kind of as a disclaimer for those of you who tuned in for the Aerosoft Prague scenery, you notice that it was like really sort of stuttery and laggy. What I found out was, for some reason, my computer does not like being locked to 60 frames per second. And I had done that, and I don't really remember why I did that, but I locked my frames to 60, and when I did that, I got bad stutters at like every airport. And during that stream, some of you might recall that I then went over to Fly Tampa's Copenhagen, and I was getting the same stutters. And I did a full stream on Copenhagen, and you remember there are no stutters there. You can go on YouTube and pull that up. So once I moved the frames back to unlimited, then I didn't have any trouble anymore. So that was kind of the cause for that, and I'm going to have to kind of do a little bit of an update. As far as performance, though, because as you can see, there's a lot of traffic here. And right now, there are some slight stutters panning around a little bit, but you can see, let me go to the virtual cockpit here mode. Right now, frame rates with all of this traffic here is 23 frames per second. So that's pretty low. But then you have to keep in mind, this is a huge airport. And there's a lot of traffic out here. So that's about right, probably, for an airport of this size with this much AI traffic on the ground. So, but yeah, all those old airports now have been kind of redone. We've gotten a brand new Munich from taxi to gate. We have finally another version of Frankfurt. We've got new versions of Heathrow. New versions of Copenhagen. There is a brand new Amsterdam Schiphol. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Amos will probably correct me there. But we've got a new Amsterdam on the way. We've got Dublin. So, I mean, all these old European airports of years past, both payware and freeware, are kind of getting replaced finally with modern versions of it. So let's go ahead and park our aircraft here. I'm going to go ahead and grab one of our trusty helicopter, and we can fly around and start touring the scenery. And I guess I should state, because I decided at the last minute I was going to do this via Periscope, and it just occurred to me that a lot of people are probably going to discover me via Periscope and have no clue what the hell I'm talking about or what I'm doing. So if you've just discovered me on Periscope, you might want to head over to twitch.tv/ADXlive in order to see in real time whatever the heck it is that I'm talking about. And maybe some folks will discover flight simulation for the first time. Okay, let me go ahead and switch over into our little aircraft here. Just a second. Your screen might go blank. One moment. And while I do that, I can try to catch up on some commentary really quickly. And get some water before my voice starts cracking. Here's a comment by EDD Flyer. It says, "Thank you, Fabian. My FSX is absolutely perfectly configured." Oh, wow. He says that the new EDDF gives him OOMs. Well, that is a very good question. I wonder if he's using, what did he say? He said he's using FSX. So when it comes to FSX, I can't help you there. I use Prepared, and in Prepared, a lot of us OOMs have gone away. Although I have heard people say that they do see OOMs when flying like heavy PMDG aircraft over long distances. But I tried the 777 from Dubai to Prague, and I landed with no OOM, and with the same settings that I always fly with. So, but I think a lot of people who have problems in Prepared and wind up with out-of-memory errors are probably having too many programs running in the background. It is not to say that OOMs are impossible with Prepared version 3. They are certainly possible. I need to type in Red Bull here. I can't. Oh, there it is. It is possible to obviously still get OOMs in Prepared version 3, but I think the thing that a lot of people have to keep in mind is that the simulator is still fighting for resources with all the junk that you probably have running around in the background. So there's a little tool that I use called Alacrity PC, and that was actually invented by a flight simulation enthusiast, and you can just Google that. And that allows me to turn off a lot of my background processes. In fact, I'm going to go to my desktop really quickly just so you guys can see that. And I'm going to have to turn off my AI here too really quickly. I'm just going to go back to the desktop. And if I pull up my task manager, you can see here that I've got everything down to the bare minimum. I mean, literally, only the bare bones of which should be running in the background, things that obviously you don't want to turn off. I could turn off antivirus, but which sometimes, well, I used to do that, but I don't do that really much anymore because it really doesn't make much of a hit. But as you can see here, I'm down to the bare bones. And this little program, Alacrity PC, when you click on this, there's all these services here that are disabled. That I stop, and then there's obviously other programs and stuff like that you can turn off, and this gets you down to the bare minimum. So for a lot of you who are flying Prepared, or even FSX as well, and you're still finding that you're having problems with out-of-memory errors, chances are you probably have like 50 things running in your task manager that are not necessary. Stuff like Windows Update. Seriously. So those are things that you can definitely get rid of. The next step here is let's turn off the AI because we don't want to be looking at a slideshow. Not that we would. Let's just see, just for kicks and giggles here, let's go back to the simulator. Let's just see what kind of performance we're going to get with the helicopter here. I'm still looking at about roughly 25 frames per second with all the AI here. It's actually really not a slideshow, although we are getting about 1 million airplanes flying around here. Okay. And by the way, just as a reminder, Fabian from Aerosoft is here live. So if you have any questions for Fabian about the scenery, anything at all, go ahead and feel free to pick his brain. I know one of the biggest concerns right now, and I just brought that up because I can see Captain Gombo is asking about jet bridges, which of course is one of the biggest concerns about the scenery. So if you have any questions at all for Fabian, do feel free to chime in and ask him. As we do know that the scenery was really more or less developed for AES, but one of the things I noted here is that there is car traffic. I noticed that when I was flying over in our little trusty 737, and I'm actually curious if these vehicle traffic models here on the main motorway are AES light models, or if these are new custom vehicles developed by the developer. Perhaps Fabian, you can answer that question. There are rumors going around that Oliver Pabst is finally trying to develop a method for developing AES for Prepared. I don't know if there is any truth to that at all. I think I saw that in passing comments. So that is a very good question. Just trying to take a look and keep up with any comments down there. But these are some very nice looking vehicle traffic here. Let's see here. We've got some buses. So not sure if those are AES light vehicles or not. That's a very good question. Fabian says he doesn't have all of the information, but he does say that Oliver is working on it. So that's good news. Really looking forward to that. Matthias Koch might recall a conversation we had probably a year and a half ago about that whole thing. So yes, very good to see. So yeah, you can see here just panning around the aircraft, I do have some stutters here. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off the AI traffic so that way we can get a little bit better performance. Give me just a second. And before I do that, I do have a gripe already, and that is with the photo scenery here. For some reason, there is an exclusion zone, an autogen exclusion zone for the trees here. I'm looking at this huge sort of wide field of 2D trees, as well as here along the roads around Frankfurt. There should be vegetation in here. Now, I don't know if the concern was that by adding too much vegetation too close to the airport, that maybe that would have an impact on performance, but that sounds to me like a control panel scenario where maybe users can kind of determine that on their own. I know that especially for those who use FSX, the Orbix HD trees, and the developer, I just learned from Orbix HD trees, will be at Flight SimCon, but nevertheless, I know with the HD trees, people in FSX do get better performance, so I am a little bit concerned about the fact that there are some exclusion zones close to the airport where there should be some trees here. Your screen might go blank for just a second. I'm going to turn off the AI traffic here and hope that it disappears. Please disappear. That was way too fast. I don't think it disappeared, did it? Are they still there or are they gone? Oh, they're gone. Look at that. Now we have a ghost town. And let's see if that will increase our performance at all. I'm looking at frames now have jumped to 60, but I'm not moving yet. So let's unpause. Oh, there we go. Yep. So frames now, ooh, 75. Let's see if they get any higher than 75. So I think the concerns, or the complaints, I should say, that a lot of people were having in regards to performance, they were probably working out that AI traffic. That's what I would have to assume. They probably had too much egg going. That's what I'm guessing. But nevertheless, it's nice to see vehicle traffic here on the motorways, which of course was a very huge plus for having AES Light in that older version of Frankfurt, flying in over the final approach and having the traffic down there. Another thing that I remember about that version of the scenery was there was this little like ambulance vehicle just driving around the airport, not going anywhere in particularly, just just for no reason. And I don't know, but for some reason I kind of missed that little ambulance noise, because you're sitting at your gate and you just kind of hear that little kind of in the background, and it's like it reminds you that you're in Europe, even if you're sitting in your chair in Hong Kong. I don't know. Well, actually, I think Hong Kong is probably a little bit similar. In your chair in New York, you hear that little noise in the background, and it's like, oh, I'm in Europe, you know. So I do miss that. I do miss that with the old version of the scenery. Just taking a look here at the motorways, you can see there we've got signage, a couple of static, or what is that? Looks like a static aircraft down there. Is that a museum? Let me see if I can turn around here. It looks like a museum there. Yes, it is. A couple of statics there near the entrance. Very nice. I don't recall if that was in the first version. Now, a quick thought about the German airports team. These guys have slowed down quite a bit in recent years. Ooh, I'm getting some stutters here. Let me see. Frames are still hitting around 70, but I do see some little stutters here and there. The German airports team used to be on a roll. I remember back in the day between SimWings and the German airports team, back in like early FS9 days, when both of these separate developers were really kind of getting their start, there was no such thing as like getting an airport release. Like, you would buy a package and that would come from anywhere from 3 airports to like 10. SimWings would release an airport package for like Scandinavia, and it would be Scandinavia Airports Volume. Sorry. Whoa. Whoa, that would be Scandinavian airports volume 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you would just get like all these airports in a package. And the German airports team, I think, used to operate on that sort of, but I think we were getting like for a while there like 2 German airports like a year, and I think that's why Germany was like dominating flight simulation for so many years in a row. For those of you who kind of remember that decade, is because, I mean, they were just on a roll. They were releasing like airports like candy, leaving people like me to complain, why is Aerosoft not releasing more airports around the world? Why is it only Germany? And back then I didn't understand that Aerosoft was only the publisher working with many different developers, and I was like blaming Matthias and blaming Aerosoft and how dare you only develop for Germany. But that was the German airports team, and that was kind of their motto. And when you look at it now, it makes perfect sense, because as a singular country, Germany is like number 2, I think, behind the United States in terms of the amount of flight simulation enthusiasts. I mean, it's huge, and a lot of people might disagree and say, no, Germany is number 1. But I only determine that based on numbers for Air Daily X, in terms of how big the following is, and Germany happens to be number 2. But nevertheless, I mean, Germany is freaking huge when it comes to flight simulation. So that obviously makes a lot of sense. But, ooh, some nice trucks down there, by the way. But then in recent years, the German airports team kind of just slowed down, and all those millions of airports that we were getting, just like we weren't getting them anymore, which was kind of interesting. And I think it kind of left a lot of us to wonder if they're like disappearing or what. Huge fan of the German airports team. I love Paderborn. Is it Lippstadt? Did I pronounce that right? That's probably my favorite airport from them, because they were probably the first to do this like taxi bridge, this elevated taxi bridge going over the roadway and the what do you call those, the rails there, the train line or whatever that is. I loved that airport, and I would just like keep flying to that airport just so that I could taxi my A320 over that bridge. I thought that was just so cool. But yeah, they did a lot of excellent airports over the years. I believe they did the last version of Munich, again with the taxi bridges and the AES traffic going underneath. Another favorite of mine would be Friedrichshafen. Again, another terrific airport. Did a review on that one many years ago when that was released. Huge fan of that as well. So the German airports team is largely responsible for my having really discovered Germany, because to be honest, all these German airports that I own, I haven't really been to any of them. And, you know, I give the German airports team credit for all that, because, you know, back when I first started purchasing payware airports, I was only buying places that I had actually visited. So after a while, those airports got boring, and I just wanted more places to kind of travel and fly out to. So what I wound up doing was just buying airports. I'm like, screw it. I've got a little bit of extra money here, and I've got a budget for an airport this month, and the next Cloud9 airport is not out yet, or Fly Tampa Airport, or Simwings, or whoever else was big back then. So I was just like, hell, I'm just going to head over to Aerosoft and just start spending money. And that's kind of how the whole thing sort of came out. So I just started buying all these German airports, because that is mostly what was available back then. So another favorite of mine, but I don't think it's by the German airports team, is what's the name of that airport? Oh, wait a minute. No, Paderborn Lippstadt is the Aerosoft scenery. I'm getting that confused with Leipzig. Ah! Wow, I am like, my geography is crazy. No, Leipzig was the one, right? Am I getting that right? I know there's a lot of Germans in here, so I think someone's gonna correct me on that. But yeah, I think that was Leipzig with the elevated taxi bridge, and Paderborn I think is where Aerosoft headquarters is, right? Yeah. I'm thinking of Paderborn because that's one of my favorites too. But nevertheless, yeah, I just started buying all these airports that I'd never been to. Maybe one day Aerosoft will invite me to their headquarters and I can fly into Paderborn. Who knows? That's if Air Berlin still lasts. I hear they're not doing too well all these days, which is probably not good. But nevertheless, the German airports team, I mean, they were just like a freaking powerhouse. They were just releasing Münster, Osnabrück, something like that. I don't know. And then there's the older, if you remember, the older German airport sceneries like Frankfurt Hahn. Who remembers that scenery, right? That was like in another package from a billion years ago. So, yeah, they released like just huge amounts of airports over the years. I even think they did a version of Innsbruck and what's that little airfield, Alterhain or whatever that is in Switzerland. I think that was like in another package at some point. So they've kind of slowed down, and I'm trying to remember what the last airport they released before Frankfurt. But even when they did Frankfurt, I think, you know, that wasn't even a super long development. But of course, taking a look at 2016 versus say 2004 or 2005, I think, oh, here's another one of these big tree exclusion zones. I think this is something that's going to definitely have to be corrected in an update. I do not like exclusion zones. That was like a big FS9 problem. Is you'd buy, like, especially like FSDT and Cloud9, they were like really bad with that sort of thing where you just have these huge exclusion zones surrounding the airport, and that would really annoy me. So that's not the case here, but for some reason trees are not coming all the way up to the airport perimeter, so I'm not really sure what's going on there. But nevertheless, yeah, the German airports seem kind of slowed down, but I guess that's kind of the same thing can be said about Simwings as well, because Simwings ain't making no like 10 airports in a package anymore. I can tell you that. They have shut that stuff down. And it's taken them a lot longer now in between development releases, so it's not like, okay, Scandian Airports Volume 1 released in January, and then Spanish Airports Volume 2 released in March, and now that's like between the two 20 airports. Yeah, those days are long gone. But back then, airports were much easier to develop. They were much easier. I mean, you could just like make a box in Gmax, slap some like low resolution photo roll textures on it, and boom, add a trash can and a flashlight and you got an airport. So obviously now the flight simulation community, I would have to assume, is probably just a little bit more particular about what they expect. In fact, so much so that I would probably have to measure an argument that flight simulation enthusiasts are probably the most difficult party or crowd to please, I think, in any type of like gaming, I have to put quotes there, gaming type industry, because we are really picky and very particular about what is and is not acceptable. So yeah, as a result, developers now take a lot more time to make their airport projects work out. Just a reminder, if you're just joining in, we are taking a look at Frankfurt, Maine, just released by Aerosoft and the German airports team. And just looking at some photoreal textures here on top of the runway. Is this a photoreal runway with hand-painted textures? That's what that looks like. That doesn't look like this is a completely hand-drawn from scratch runway. That looks like, yeah, that does. That looks like photoreal with paint on top of it. Let's see here. We have over here, this looks like the little de-icing storage area for all the de-icing vehicles. So far, I do have to say that all of the ground service equipment, vehicles, all of that, very well modeled. A lot of attention to detail in all of these GSE vehicles here. And I should also point out that I am broadcasting via Periscope. I think the Periscope address is at ADX Avatar Guy, something like that. So if you'd like to watch me live, I'm testing this out now for Flight Sim Con. And one of the things you'll probably want to do is make sure that you sign up for Periscope and like the Avatar Guy Periscope page, because when I go live at Flight Sim Con in a couple of weeks now, you'll get the alert to be able to watch a lot of things live. So I'm hoping to broadcast some of the seminars live, hopefully some of the interviews and the hangar stuff like that. So for those of you who aren't going to be able to make it, you'll definitely want to make sure that you sign up for the AirDailyX Periscope page. So to get there, just head back over to airdailyx.net, click on the little Periscope icon at the very bottom of the page. It doesn't matter which page. And make sure you like that. This bridge went two-dimensional here. And so we've got a 2D bridge here and then a 3D bridge over Myanmar. So I don't know why why didn't they just make this one 3D as well? Oops, went through a building. Here we have a 3D taxi bridge here. There we go. That's what we want to see. Nice elevation there. Nice wall surrounding that. Still got these huge sort of tree autogen exclusion zones here. I don't know what's up with that. A lot of attention to detail here on these bridges, though. Look at the railings on that. Very nice. And I'm going to just set our helicopter down here just for a brief moment. I'm just going to try to pour through the comments really quickly. See if there's anything interesting. I try to make the live streams as interactive as I can by trying to get to comments and whatnot. And here we have some nice ground texture. So that runway that we were looking at back there just a short minute ago, that definitely looked like part of the photo real scenery with just hand-drawn lines on top of it. That makes it look what is the word I want to use here? That makes it look realistic, I suppose. Those of you who know me, you know I'd probably elect to go another way. But nevertheless, here we can see the ground textures are very crisp. And this is when I do my little quasi-review previews of live streams. This is one of the things that I like to look for. I like to see how thorough a developer is. So certainly we can see here there's some excellent ground textures here on the bridge, but on the runway the custom texturing here did not seem to make its way through the whole runway. I'm just gonna shoot through really quickly, and just as a reminder, Fabian from Aerosoft is tuning in live, and we're gonna give away a couple of free sceneries as soon as we decide how we want to do that, so you definitely want to make sure you stay tuned for that. Let's see here, just gonna pour through the comments really quickly. Captain Gumbo says, I would only fly Lufthansa to Paderborn. Air Berlin flies to holiday destinations. Well, I remember very clearly that Air Berlin used to fly to Paderborn, so maybe they don't anymore, but Air Berlin was a huge airline at Paderborn at one point. I remember that very clearly, and I don't live in Germany, so why do I know that? Nevertheless, let's see here. Just trying to see if there is anything here worth pointing out. Just a second. And looks like Simeon from Majestic is tuning in as well. Simeon, are we sure? Are you heading out to Flight SimCon yet? I think Simeon is still deciding if he's heading out to Flight SimCon. It would be great to meet the great Simeon of Majestic. That would be really great. Oh, Captain Gumbo says they fly from Paderborn to holiday destination. So in other words, you're saying that I'd have to go somewhere to like the Balearic Islands and then fly to Paderborn. So you're saying I should go on vacation before visiting Aerosoft. I like your thinking. Let's see here. I don't see anything else, anything significant worth pointing out. So I'm going to go ahead and let's head over to the main terminal area. So one of the biggest concerns I remember people pointing out about the previous version, and I think someone went in and just did kind of like a sort of a free add-on. There's more of those tree exclusion zones. I think one of the things that people really pointed out was, when are we going to get a new Frankfurt with the new runway? And I think somebody just like went in and just like tossed in like an AFCAD or something like that for the runway. Uh-oh. I think I'm about to beat up on the team here. Uh-oh. Alright, well, I'm not happy about this. Yeah, water masking is something that is a very big deal to me. 3D photoreal water is never acceptable, and I mean, it doesn't matter if you're a freeware developer or a payware developer. Water masking is very important, and this is one of the things that whenever I see complex water masking, regardless of the developer, I always point it out. If you ever go back and look at any of my live streams, I always point out the water masking. Like a good example would be Yakutat from Alex Goff, who's going to be at FlightSimCon. Yakutat has this huge area of all these little mini islands, and that would just be like a water masking nightmare. And one of the things I pointed out to you guys is I recently learned how to do PR water masking. Orbix developer Misha, when he came over to Southern California and we hung out for a bit, he wanted to give me an idea of just exactly the kind of hell that developers go through, because for me, I'm just the end user. I'm just the guy who's going to enjoy this on the back end. But over the years, I have touched so many different add-ons that I know what my expectations are, and I have a fairly good idea of what sort of the community overall expects from a scenery project. I tend to take that a little bit farther because as a reviewer, I tend to look at all the little details. And one of the things that Misha wanted me to realize is, he goes, DeAndre. Okay, I was going to try to do an Aussie accent there. Probably shouldn't. But he wanted me to just get an idea that when I point out all these little things that all the developers go through and make happen, he wanted me to get an idea of exactly the hell that they go through to make that stuff happen. So he gave me a task, and he said, okay, you're going to learn how to do water masking. You're just going to, this is how you do it, and then I want to see you do it. And I got to tell you, that is no joke. That is no freaking joke. I mean, it is, I don't want to say that it's hard, but if you make one small mistake, you've got to start all over again. It takes Photoshop time to generate these huge images, and then you've got to go through, and your hands have to be very precise. It's like you're drawing. You know, if there's, for example, like this little lake here that hasn't been water masked, you would have to load the PR into Photoshop and grade it and do all that crap, and then you've got to take your little tool, and then you've got to draw along the edges of the lake with the tool, and then you've got to do this and that, and if you make a mistake, then you got to Control X, and then you got to go back, and then you got to do it again. And those of you who are developers, you obviously know what I'm talking about. So I got to learn a lot, and don't get me wrong, after a while I started having a little bit of fun with it, because I was like, wow, I'm developing, cool. But seriously, it's a lot of work. But nevertheless, whenever a developer does it, I point it out, because a lot of people may not pay attention to how important it is, and they may not have a respect of how much work goes into little things like water masking 1,000 little bitty islands off the coast of, you know, the Yakutat Peninsula. But nevertheless, I mean, it's important to point these things out, because the developers do all this work, and it should be noted when they do it. So when I see a scenery and they haven't done it, then I have to point that out as well, because that is an expectation that I have when I look at sceneries. So you can see there in the background, and I'm not sure the name of the river. Why does the name Rhine come to mind? I don't know why that name is in my head. I don't know what the name of that river is. But you can see there, that's where the photoreal court sort of separates, I'm assuming, from... Actually, no, I'm not sure if that's OpenLC Europe or if they did continue past that river there. I'm not sure. But nevertheless, that lake right there should have been water masked. So, future update perhaps. I guess we'll find out. Let's head back over here. So the difference with this runway and these taxiways as opposed to the one that we just saw a minute ago, you can see here that these concrete blocks have been added more as a sort of hand-painted, sort of done more the right way. The only thing, though, there's something about the coloration of the PR, and I don't know if it's just me, but the PR kind of looks like a little bit faded, like the color, isn't very vibrant, and that, I don't know if that's just because of maybe the time of year, or it could be maybe the time of day. Let me just play with that really quickly. I recently did a live stream of Javitsky Baku, and one of the things that we realized is the way P3D does its lighting as opposed to FSX, it actually changes the color of the environment. It's really weird, but it does. It actually changes the color of the environment, and that was one of the big things. See, look, see how that color just changed? That's one of the things that Jared pointed out in his latest Telluride release, is he added different colorations to the PR depending on what time of day people are going to fly in, because otherwise the PR may not look right because the colors change in P3D. Look at the change of color there. So for me, it was looking a little bit faded, but then you change the time of day and it does get a little bit more vibrant. So it's kind of weird with P3D and coloration. That can be a little bit odd at times. Now, one of the things I really have to imagine about an airport like Frankfurt is there are like a billion buildings on this airport grounds. I mean, there are a lot of, there's the FedEx cargo area there. There are a lot of buildings here, and so quite naturally, there's any developer that takes on this airport has a lot of work to do with all these buildings. I'll tell you what I hate about Frankfurt just as an airport. See these large like walls here? I'm guessing some of these are probably, I don't know if they're jet blast wall. I don't really think they are. But man, that's got to be like a spotter's freaking nightmare to have these huge ass walls and you can't look into the airport and see the airplanes. Why the hell are airports always trying to hide their airplanes? Is it terrorism? You don't want the terrorists to see what a fucking airplane looks like at an airport? I mean, seriously? I don't know why airports do that, but LAX is the same way in certain areas where you've got like these huge hills and walls and they don't want you to see the airport. I'll never understand that. Big walls like that. But for those of us who are armed with DSLRs and like to shoot at airports with DSLR cameras, that is a pain in the ass for us because we can't do any spotting because they're blocking the airport with all these huge walls. Here's another nice taxi bridge here. So luckily for a lot of spotters at LAX, there's a huge hill over in the hills near El Segundo. And the city of El Segundo, which is separate from the city of Los Angeles, they said, well, we recognize that there are people out there that are armed with DSLRs and like to take pictures of airports. So we're going to put a little spotters park here so that people can get a nice view of the airport. Unfortunately, it only gives you kind of one perspective, but at least it's better than nothing. The thing that surprises me most about Frankfurt, though, is Frankfurt, I hope that they're still open, but Frankfurt has like piers where people can go out on top of the terminal buildings and take pictures and see the airplanes and stuff like that. So I'm not sure if those are still open or not. I believe the one at Zurich on the new Schengen dock or whatever they're calling it, I believe that one is still open. I've spent many times on the old pier there. And the thing about Europe is you would think, at least that's the way it used to be, is Europe was very friendly to spotters and fans of aviation enthusiasts, where you could just book a ticket and just get into an airport just so that, I mean, not even a ticket to fly anywhere, but you could just buy a ticket just to walk out like on a visitor's terrace or something and just see the airplanes, because people, it might be hard for airports to understand these days, but people actually like airplanes and flying on airplanes. You know, when you live in the world of like Spirit Airlines and stuff like that, you know, where it's like, you know, the seat is literally up your ass instead of underneath it, and people hate traveling and all that stuff. No, there are still people out there in the world who like to travel. Traveling is still fun for some people. People do actually like airplanes. They like the looks of them. They're fascinated by how they work, and they like to be able to go see them. And essentially, any local airport should be effectively a museum of modern airplanes. That's what an airport should be. But airport authorities don't see it that way. They see it as, you want to see an airplane, you must want to destroy it. Look at our walls. I don't know. I don't understand that crap with airports. But Misha and I had quite a time with a particular airport authority when we were armed with our DSLRs. And in that case, they didn't see us as any kind of a threat. They just wanted money. They're like, sure, take pictures, take as many as you want. That'll be $2,000. Would you like to get onto the airport too? That'll be $3,000. They just want money. Airports don't give a shit if you're taking a picture as long as you're paying for it. I thought that was, I think all of the three of us that were there that day, I think we were all in shock. Airports, they want money. That's at the end of the day. I think maybe that's why they put the walls up now. I don't think they're concerned with terrorism. I just think they're concerned with not getting their cut. But anyway, you know, I was very surprised to hear about the whole ordeal with Flightbeam. I know that a lot of you guys, yes, that's the 800-pound gorilla in the room. You guys thought, is he going to bring up the whole Flightbeam issue? Indeed, that's a whole 900-pound gorilla in the room. And I was very surprised that Flightbeam was unable to get access to the airport, because I thought, wait, this is Europe. This is airport people-friendly Europe, where, yes, you can get on. And I know Zurich, and I don't know if Zurich still does this or not, but there was a time where you could buy a ticket, get on a bus. The bus would then drive you onto the airfield, like between the runways, and then leave you there for like an hour, and then come back and pick you up. Like, oh my God, where else in the world were they do anything like that other than Europe? You think of the world of Herpa, right? Who knows about Herpa, the German manufacturer of model, you know, die-cast model airplanes? I used to collect Herpas back in the day. I still have probably 40 400 scale airplanes left in my closet. I sold a lot of them over the years. I think at one point I had like 200. But nevertheless, I mean, so, you know, Germany is like huge on hobbies and aviation and stuff. So, and that's pretty much the case with a lot of Europe. So, you know, I don't think there's any airport in America where you can get on a shuttle bus and like have it take you in between the runways and let you sit there with a camera, especially not post 9/11. But nevertheless, that was the case with Zurich. And so with a lot of these European airports, there is some sort of observation dock or observation terrace where you can go out and take pictures and enjoy the airport, because there are people out there that like airports, that actually like being in airports. You know, so it was rather surprising. I just want to note these fences here on the edge of these bridges. Very nice attention to detail there. I approve of that. But nevertheless, so it was very shocking, I think, for a lot of us to understand that the Frankfurt airport authorities were very uncooperative. At least in the case with the U.S., if you want to photograph an airport, I think you just got to pony up some cash. I don't even think they were wanting money. I think they were just like, screw you. I don't know what the whole story was there with between Flightbeam and the Frankfurt Airport Authority. Oh, look at this GSE. Very nicely done. Those buses, everything just very nicely done. Fraport logos there. Very impressed with all of the GSE that I've seen thus far. So again, I'm not really sure what the whole situation there was with between Flightbeam and the whole Frankfurt Airport Authority, but it was so bad that essentially Amir's position was, no, it's just not going to happen at all now. I think that they are just so turned off to doing Frankfurt now at this point that there's just no chance of it happening, because of how bad, I guess, the interaction was. So I don't know the full story, but I know that it was bad enough that it's just not. There's just no way it's going to happen. So that leaves us with the German airports team, because I think a lot of people were wondering, is, you know, what is this whole competition thing going to be like between these two developers? And, you know, is anyone to tell you, Flightbeam ain't really no joke to contend with. I mean, so nevertheless, you know, the question then boiled down to, well, then how good is this German airports Frankfurt really gonna be? Because if you recall, I'm guessing that was probably about a year ago when the first images appeared. People were like, no, this isn't like anywhere near better than the older version we had. They're still using this old, you know, photoreal terminal application technique. And I think there were some complaints that the photo didn't really look like it was very high resolution. There were some complaints. The previews were pulled down. So there was a bit of controversy over it. So now that we have it, and it's here, what is the sort of the general census? Well, I think a lot of people generally tend to wait to get my opinion before they decide if they want something or not. And my opinion so far is what you've heard. Aside from the little things that I've pointed out, I'm actually fairly impressed with the scenery. And the reason why I'm fairly impressed with the scenery is because, number one, it's a lot better than I thought it was going to be based on those early previews. So it has that going for it. There are the few things, again, that I've already pointed out that I would point out in any scenery that I think could have been done differently or done better. But overall, if the question is, well, DeAndre, do you like it? Well, the answer is yes. I actually do like it. It does look nice. It is light years ahead thus far based on what I've seen of the older version. And in a lot of places, the textures are actually really good when they're hand-drawn as opposed to the photorealistic application. Like when you look at that tower there, you can see where some of the hand-drawn textures are going up the main support. And then for contrast, you can see here on the hangar where photoreal was used. Now, obviously, if it would have been another developer such as Flightbeam or something like that, this whole hangar would probably have transparent glass, or even if it were like Taxi to Gate, you would probably see complete transparent glass. You can see their skylights on top of the terminal. Those would have been done differently. They probably would be transparent glass, and you wouldn't be looking at a photoreal image. You would most likely be looking at a fully hand-drawn, textured 3ds Max 3D object as opposed to just kind of the photoreal. So I can obviously see where people would say, well, does it really meet modern day standards? Well, at the end of the day, obviously it's gonna boil down to who the developer is and what their techniques are. Obviously, there are things that the German airports team is doing that is still sort of outdated in terms of, in my opinion, in terms of their techniques. But that's not necessarily to suggest that it looks bad. Now, in my own personal opinion, you guys know me, you guys know what I look for. Obviously, I would prefer the latter. I would prefer to see the transparent glass and stuff like that. But I don't speak for the whole flight simulation community, and there are a lot of people out there that really don't care for all the transparent glass. I think I saw a comment down there where someone said, where was it? I think someone said Flightbeam overdoes their airports or something like that. I don't know how you can overdo an airport so long as the memory, VAS usage, and performance is low. But, everyone has their own opinion. So when we get to the purpose of live streams, the purpose of live streams is for me to run my mouth for 2 hours and for you to turn down the volume and not actually listen to anything I'm saying, but to actually just look at the scenery in real time and determine for yourself if it meets your quality standards. Because at the end of the day, the only opinion that matters is yours. Who gives a shit what DeAndre says? Who cares about AirDailyX and the a-hole that runs it? At the end of the day, it's all about your own opinion. Is because you're the one who's buying it. I'm not going to buy it for you. Let's just move over here to the first person sort of perspective so that we can get a little bit of a better look at the quality here. So what matters is does it meet your needs? Is the quality good enough for you? Again, if the question is, does the quality meet my needs? Is it good enough for me? I'd say yes. Obviously, it's a big airport. A lot of work has obviously gone into it, but this is still the style of the German airports team. Now, moving forward, would I like to see the German airports team start to incorporate a lot of the more eye candy-esque visuals? Yes, I would. But again, I don't speak for everyone. And at the end of the day, if it comes down to, okay, does it look good? Yes or no? Then the answer is yes. It looks very good. And do I like it? Absolutely. Yes, I do. Additionally, again, like I said, there are a lot of things here that really enhance an airport. One of the things that I pointed out in my Imagine Sim Atlanta version 2 review that I wrote back, I think, in 2013, was that Imagine Sims airports look good, but where they lack is in the quality of like the GSC or like in ground textures and qualities of JetBridge and stuff like that. So, I mean, an airport is not just the buildings. You know, what makes an airport is everything else that surrounds the airport. What makes an airport is everything that is included with it that enhances it. So, I mean, there are so many things that were done right with the airport that the things that, in my book, were not done right is really marginal compared to what was done right. So, you know, when you're looking at it on that scale, you know, I think that is quite impressive. There is something here, though, that I think I want to point out. Is there supposed to be some kind of tram on top of this building or no? Am I just imagining that? Maybe not. I was trying to figure out what these two openings here are on this building. They look like something that a train, like a little tram, would be going into and out of. I don't know why there would be a tram there, though. That doesn't make any sense, but it looks like that's what that would be. I'm not sure, though. And Fabian has a comment here, and he says, I would also agree on this and prefer, I guess that says, but he says German airports team is a really old team, and the airport is so big to make it all custom. So again, I think that comes down to the developer that's doing it. Would Flightbeam have really made all of this custom? That's a good question. You would simply look at their previous track record and all the airports that they've done. But again, you know, one of the things we don't want to make the point of doing is comparing, you know, like, for example, aircraft-wise. The aircraft that everyone always wants to compare something to is PMDG, right? And sometimes we have to take a minute and look at each developer on their own merit and determine it based on their own. The only reason why I would point out Flightbeam in this case, whereas I otherwise wouldn't, is because for about a year there, everyone thought that a Frankfurt would be coming from Flightbeam, which, you know, we now know that it is not. But again, that said, I think that the German airports team have done a magnificent job. I mean, the quality here is very good, and the glass looks like glass. I mean, it looks as you would see it in real life, because that's what it is. I mean, there really is no argument there. The only other gripe really would come down to JetBridge animation, and I guess I wish that even if SODI wasn't used, doesn't Flight Simulator still incorporate a default Control J JetBridge animation, or does it not? I might be a little bit ignorant there, but I think as a temporary measure to either the new Aerosoft technology coming out or to AES finally working its way into prepared, as a temporary measure, having the animated jet bridges of some sort would have been obviously ideal. But unfortunately, right now there are no animated jet bridges. The jetways do look nice. They are very good at looking animated jet bridges, but they are just not animated at this time. And you can see there, you do get, it's not a matte, M-A-T-T-E, it is not a matte photoreal texture. You can see there are some little sort of dynamic, shiny things going on there, so you do sort of get that very glassy-esque appearance. There's a nice Gate Gourmet truck there. Now, the other thing that I miss about AES Lite is when you're taxiing around the airport, and I think Frankfurt was the first airport where they implemented that technology. When you're crossing one of these service roads, I love how the cars would stop. And I used to, back in the old FS9 days, I used to literally just screw with AES Lite. Like, I'd just be an asshole because everyone knows that I am naturally. And I would just stop my aircraft right on, like right in, you know, blocking the service road, and then just watch all the AES traffic just back up. And that, I don't know why I would do that, but that was just fun. I'd just sit there and just, you know, just like a troll. And just watch all the traffic back up. That was such an incredible technology that I miss. Because one thing that really annoys me is when traffic just starts going on my airplanes when I'm in the process of taxiing to the active or to the gate. But nevertheless, you know, if Oliver gets that AES into P3D, obviously Aerosoft stock is going to shoot up. and we'll get all that nice little lovely type of technology back. Now the big question lies is, you know, how likely are developers going to work with AES? That's going to be the big question, because Oliver, let's just face it, I'm sorry Oliver, I love you man, but you're slow. You are slow, man. And I think a lot of developers at some point started to get tired of waiting for airports to get the AES treatment because of people like me. Because I had this whole modus operandi back in the day where I wouldn't buy an airport until the AES, you know, compatibility was released. So that's kind of what led FS Dream Team to develop GEX. It was not something, I don't think that was always a plan of theirs to do. I think they realized that AES was having a direct impact on their sales. And at some point, I think Umberto Calapiccioni decided that he was not going to allow another third-party product to have a dictatorship over his product. So he set out and decided, I'm just going to develop my own. We'll use the SODI technology for jet bridges. Is it as good as AES? Nowhere near it, but you'll still get a full complement of ground service, and you'll still get an animated jet bridges, and it'll be available at your airport not only on the day it's released, but it will work at any airport ever. So you won't have to wait for any airport to be released in order to get ground services. It'll work everywhere, and it'll be free. You don't have to buy all these credits, which I think oh man, how many credit packages did I buy? Oh my gosh, $20 a pop. I think I'm about a good 200 and something bucks in the hole with AES. When Oliver does get it released for P3D, I don't know if it'll be free or if I'll have to buy all those credits all over again. And if I will, I may or may not be motivated to spend all that money all over again. So here's hoping that maybe Oliver will come up with an idea where he says, okay, I'll tell you what, all of the credits you bought before will work, but because I still need to get paid for all this work I'm doing for making it work in P3D, tell you what, you pay a $30 fee and all your old credits come back. That will motivate me to buy more credits in the future if he decides to still use the credit system where you have to keep buying credits. I know a lot of people disagree with that, but I think that at the very least, for those of us who have already spent all this money in credits, if he releases a P3D version and all of those credits are, you know, defaulted, then that's it. I'll still be done with AES. But if he says, all right, pay $30, you get all of your credits back to work in P3D, then that will motivate me to buy more credits in the future. And I think that's a good compromise because it allows him to still make money on his current efforts of making it work for P3D. Because he should make money on his work, obviously. But I think that we all shouldn't just be lost, you know, and not have these credits, especially when the credits still work between FSX and FS9. So, but with P3D again, it's a whole nother story because Prepared does not utilize the Vista Mare system, which means that Oliver essentially does have to go back to the drawing board and start doing some things completely from scratch. So that's something that's understandable. Just taking a look at some of these. Looking at the sort of the terminal, some of the textures here, the 3D. I'm sorry, well, obviously all the 3D models look perfect, but again, just looking at these the textures here, the photoreal, everything here looks very nice. Ooh, I'm going into a spin here. Another thing to point out are the ground textures. The ground textures are very crisp. I love the paint markings. They look baked into the textures. I mean, this is all very nicely done, so I'm very happy with what I'm seeing here. ICBC, your global partner, your reliable bank. Online at icbc.de. Just as a reminder for those of you who are watching live, I am testing out the Periscope app, and if you don't know what Periscope is, it's basically a live streaming system from your cell phone, I guess would be the best thing to call that. So I'm using my iPhone, which is showing my ugly rig on top of my head. So you can watch me live. I don't know why anyone would want to watch me for any reason, but I am testing out the Periscope app for Flight SimCon 2016 because this is one of the methods that I will be using to broadcast live during the convention and some of the seminars. So I'm testing it now. So make sure you head over to airdailyx.net. Take a look at the very bottom of the page. You'll notice a bunch of icons down there. And one of them is the Periscope icon. It looks like a backwards teardrop or something like that. You can click that. That will take you over to the Periscope page, and you can kind of see me live. Make sure that you hit like or subscribe or however Periscope works so that you will get the notification of when I go live during Flight SimCon. So, just as a reminder. And here we do have, there are some animated trains up here. Actually, I shouldn't say animated. They look like static. The trains are not moving. I'm guessing I'm meant to assume that this is another part of the AES light technology. So in prepared, you're just going to see them as static. If I'm getting that right. So they look nice. All the tracks, the rails are there, but they're just not animated. So I'm assuming this is going to reliant on the AES technology to be animated. And look at that. The tunnel goes all the way through the 3D model there, all the way through to the other side. So I'm sure Fabian, who's watching, will probably clarify that, that these are probably animated in FSX, but not in prepared. And this also answers my other question. Yeah, so those two doors on the other side, those were for the animated trams. I don't know if those openings should be on the other side, though. But let's see. Does this go all the way through this 3D object as well? Let's take a quick look. Ah, it went through... kind of went through the... Yep, so that does go all the way through. Still thinking about, we are going to do a couple of giveaways here. Fabian, have you thought of anything yet? I thought of one interesting trivia question. And I'll actually type that in the private chat, Fabian, and you let me know if that's a good one. And if so, then we'll use that as one of the trivia questions for those watching who can win possibly a copy of Frankfurt. And this is another thing that I'm going to point out really quickly here, because once again we're looking at that threshold here. Take a look at these textures here, right here on the threshold, right in here. Just grab my mouse here. Take a look at that. And again, this looks like we're looking at photoreal again, or are we looking at, is this custom or not? Let me just get on the ground here. Because I did mention that about that runway back there, that it looks like photoreal, and maybe it's not, but let me just set the aircraft down here. Because it looked like photoreal to me, but now that we're closer to the ground, it's kind of weird. It's like, it does look like tarmac pavement that is not photoreal. Let me just zoom in here. I don't know if this is photoreal or if they've done a tarmac pavement. It's kind of, because from a small elevation it looks like photoreal, but the detail looks too good to be photoreal. I don't know, that's really odd. But when you get to a somewhat higher elevation, you notice blemishes that definitely make it obvious that it is photoreal. You can kind of see there in the background, so that's really interesting. But there is something of a seam here in between the tarmac pavement and the concrete blocks, so that is somewhat noticeable. Just wanted to bout. Aside from that, again, and if we take a look over here, let me see if I can just spin this thing around really quickly. Ooh, kind of slid down there. So here I would have to assume this is photoreal. This is actually pretty neat, this little bit here. I'm guessing this is also photoreal as well. So in looking at the quality of that, it does kind of, I think, solidify that these taxiways are photoreal. That's kind of an interesting method. So again, I'm not trying to suggest that it's bad, but these are things that this particular reviewer would look at and point out, because there are developers of other mega airports of equal size that would not do it this way. But again, it's not to suggest that it looks bad, but I do like to point out from time to time the differences in efforts between developers. Because in my brain, there is a scale. I do have a scale in terms of how I rank developers, you know, and if you look at the very top of the food pyramid, you would see Fly Tampa, you would see Flightbeam, you would see FS Dream Team possibly working their way back up to that. They really let me down with Houston. I was not impressed with Houston. I was definitely impressed with Vancouver. I think with the upcoming Memphis, I think they're on their way back up to the top of the food chain. So you do have these. I do have these where I set in my mind these different tiers of developers: tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4. Without a doubt, Frankfurt would be a tier 2. Because it definitely looks very good. It's definitely a very impressive effort, but what makes it a tier 2 is, like, for example, where photoreal is used, where it would be hand-drawn, where a tier 1 developer would have done it all by hand, sort of thing. So it's all of those little things that count, but again, it's not to suggest that it's bad. It's just simply to suggest that I can point out where it would have been done differently in some cases. Or like here, where you have very low resolution photoreal for these roof textures, for example, just little things like that. Now, is this sort of thing going to be something you notice from the virtual flight deck of your 777 or 747 or A320 or 737? No. So in cases like that, that really isn't going to make any of a difference to you. These are just things that I notice, because when I look at an airport scenery project, I tend to look at the whole thing and not just what's from the virtual cockpit. So that's a little disclaimer for you guys who are wondering why I point out all this unnecessary stuff. And here we are now, working our way over to, I believe this is the terminal that's just like the big international terminal, right? For non-Lufthansa carriers, if I'm getting that right. And there are a lot of comments down there as well. I guess now would be an adequate time to kind of plop down Mr. Red Bull here and see if I can catch up on any comments here. I kind of went on a long mouth-running segment there. We'll just set down here really quickly and get a nice view of that terminal while I quickly try to pour through some of the comments here. Give me just a minute. Benner45 says he will love it if all 3 jetways will work when you come in with a 777. Why would you need 3 jet bridges with a 777? I think you need 2 jet bridges with a 777. 3 jet bridges with an A380, perhaps the upper deck jet bridge there. I'm thinking. Let me see here. All right, give me a second. Let me just come down here. And Captain Gombo says with AES you can use all 3, of course. Fabian says we will get SODI jetways here in EDDF with the next update, so it should be possible with 3 jetways. All right, well, there's an applause. Lovely. So it looks like the German airports team will work on getting SODI worked out with EDDF. So that's very good news, and even if it's only a temporary measure until AES comes or the new Aerosoft technology comes or whatever the case is. So I'm definitely happy to hear that, and I'm sure a lot of you are happy to hear that as well. So awesome. Let's see. So hopefully in the very near future. Let's see. Sorry, just still scrolling down. There are some people out there, by the way, who are not fans of the sim-object display engine. Personally, I think, and a lot of people are probably going to shoot me when I say this, but I think hands down, AES is the best ground handling software program that ever existed. That's why I spent so much money on it. The downside is that there's only the one person who's Oliver who works on it, and everything is just so slow. But as a program, I think it blows GEX out of the water. Whenever I use GEX, I always see all kinds of weird crap. Like sometimes the pilot's legs aren't walking; he looks like he's on roller skates. It's very buggy for me. I don't know. Every time I use GEX, I always find that there's something about it that's buggy, that doesn't work. The thing that I dislike most about GEX is it is a pain in the ass to set up stuff to your airplane. It's like all these freaking like mathematical configurations and crap. With AES, it had a GUI interface that would appear directly like overlaid on your flight simulator screen, and then you could literally click on it and you'd see the little boxes that are exactly attached to your airplane move in and out. And I think GEX is somewhat similar, or GSX. Why am I saying GEX? GSX is somewhat similar, but it's far more complicated. AES is far more user-friendly, user-intuitive. So in my personal opinion, AES is just all around better. And then as far as SODI goes, I find that SODI is just really buggy too. If you noticed in the Baku live stream that I did recently, SODI wasn't working at all at the airport. I don't know why, but it didn't work. But when I killed the live stream, I immediately went over to Flight Beam Denver and everything worked. So for some reason, it was buggy at that airport and the jet bridge didn't work, but it did work everywhere else. So I even completely uninstalled SODI from scratch and installed the latest version, and the jet bridge is still not working at Baku. So I don't know if it's a scenery problem or what, but what I don't like about the SODI jet bridges is, unlike AES, you can configure the jet bridge to every type of aircraft. Even if you're flying some weird-ass freeware spaceship thing, you can still configure a jet bridge to line up to the door of the Millennium Falcon. With SODI, it's just not going to recognize the Millennium Falcon. You know, and even if you're flying the 727 version of the Millennium Falcon, it's not going to place the door perfectly, the jet bridge perfectly over the door, or the wheels are going to sink in the ground, or stuff like that. So SODI is really, in my opinion, in its current stage, really not the best thing, the best solution, but it's better than nothing, and right now, better than nothing is the best thing that we have. So there's a lot to be said about SODI, so I don't want to shoot it down too much, but you know, at least we have some method of getting jet bridges working. Let's see here. And Fabian's saying, for now we can't do it for all airports. Most developers can select the option. We can only tell them we love to add animated jetways. So what Fabian is basically saying there is, you know, Aerosoft only has so much control over what developers either choose or don't choose to do. At the end of the day, if the developer says, well, I'm not going to include SODI, so there, then what is Aerosoft going to do? Just say, well, then we're not going to sell your product, and then not make any money, and then maybe go out of business. So, I mean, there's only so much, you know, Aerosoft as a publisher can really have. And I saw some people said, well, no, Aerosoft does have the power. Well, maybe they do, but you know, I can also see things from their point of view as well. If a developer doesn't want to do it, the developer doesn't want to do it. And don't get me wrong, Aerosoft has said to some developers, we're not going to publish your software then, and then they've bounced. But something like Frankfurt, which is such a big deal, this is probably not going to be one of those cases. And in those cases with Aerosoft, those were airports that fell below a certain quality threshold, which obviously Frankfurt here is well above. Sorry, still kind of pouring through. Let's see. Boeing T7 says he loves GSX but hates the Follow Me car. You know what? I never use a Follow Me car. I've never seen a Follow Me car in action, ever. Maybe that's just not a requirement at my local airport, but even through Europe, I've never seen those Follow Me cars in use. I just don't use it. Let's see. But Fabian does reiterate that for SODI, they will soon have a solution for Frankfurt. Let's see here. Amos finally got with the program. Let's see. And Captain Gumbo is asking, Fabian, is it possible to make the Sodi jetways transparent like the jetways in Paderborn? I can probably answer that question. The jetways are 3D object models, so those objects are designed by the developer. So it's up to the developer to either use photoreal. It's basically just like looking at the glass terminal of a 3D model airport terminal. It's up to the developer if they want to make it transparent and use glass or just use photoreal. I think that Oliver did have his own, I might be wrong, but I think he did have his own 3D jetway model that he would use if the developers of certain airports didn't have their own jetway models. I think if they wanted AES, I think he had his own stock model jetway. I might be wrong. Someone might correct me on that. But even those, I don't think were transparent jetways, though. But yeah, that again, that is something that's up to the developer. So yeah, Sodi won't do anything like that. It's up to the developer. Let's see. Still scrolling down. Sorry, just getting caught up on comments here. Give me just a second because we are live. And Nyrol is saying, can I end the stream so we can do the giveaway? Okay, let's make sure he doesn't get a giveaway. He's not being very friendly. Let's see. Still scrolling down here. And that same person is asking, can I fly to the new runway again? No, I'm not going to do that, but this will be available on YouTube later, and then you can rewind and fast forward as much as your heart's content. And Captain Gumbo says this is still Terminal 1, the Lufthansa and Star Alliance terminal. Let's see. Yeah, only Amsterdam has a jet bridge configuration that you can get a jetway over the wing to an aft door or to a door that's after the wing. That just seems so scary, though, operating something over the wing of an aircraft. There's a reason why more airports don't do that. Let's see. Patrick is asking if I can turn on ground shadows to see if they work. Okay, Patrick, I'll do that toward the end of the stream because I'm not sure how that's going to affect performance, but yes, I can do that. Please make sure you remind me towards the end of the stream. Sorry, almost through the bottom of the messages. I think I got there. Okay, okay, so let's go ahead and continue. And yes, Nyrol, my joke was as much of a joke as your joke was. You see how funny that wasn't? Okay, moving along here. So yes, it will be wonderful when you can. Now here's the thing, and this is the big thing about these 3 jetways. See, number one, in order to use that big upper jet bridge there, and by the way, I've been on one of those things, and I can tell you, oh my God, that thing is high up. In order for that 3rd jet bridge to be useful, you need an A380. And we are now moving on the 1-year anniversary since we've last heard from Next Level Simulations. So once again, these guys have just failed. And I have to say that very clearly, because if it's one thing I don't like, is when a developer steps up and says, boom, we're going to do this, we're going to make this happen, and then they just quietly freaking fade away, and they don't give you any communication as to what's going on or why they're fading away. Or if they're not going to do it, just come out and say, hey, we're not going to do it. We're not doing it. We can't do it. Or we need to take a break from the project. We're not sure we're going to be back. But just this whole concept of getting people involved and interested by making big announcements and then just fading away, that's not okay anymore. And if it comes across me, I'm going to open up my big mouth and tell you how much I don't appreciate that on behalf of the community. Next Level Simulations, when they first went away, they did make an announcement and said, well, we're going away and we're gone and we're not going to be able to finish the project, after dragging people through it through a period of a few years. And then this Iranian, like, you know, I don't remember what it was called. You can go to the blacklist page over at AirDailyX, and they gave themselves some weird name. Why is the GSE disappearing right there? What happened? All right, maybe this needs to be in a future update. That's disappearing. You guys see that? Woo, don't lose control. Quality something or other. And they started marketing an A380. And what they were using were screenshots that they had stolen from the Next Level Simulations Facebook page and started posting that all over the place, saying this is a new A380. And people were like, oh my God, a new A380 is coming. And then some of us who knew Next Level were like, wait a minute, this is looking kind of weird. But there are times when a developer will release their product under another development name. A good case in point would be Marsa Alam, Jetman, or whatever his name is. I don't know his real name, unfortunately. Sorry. But he has been working on this Marsa Alam project since like 2012 on FS Developer, and now he's releasing it through FSDG. So sometimes it does happen where things will get released under another name. So people are really thinking, oh, is Next Level A380 getting released through this quality, whatever the name of this brand was? And you know, people are like starting to buy it. They were like, yeah, prepay now. And so people were like buying it. And then the second it came across my desk, I'm like, wait a minute, no, something's not right here. There's no update on the Next Level Facebook page for like several, like over a year or 2 years or whatever it was, and now all of a sudden it's getting released under this like weird wacky name. And so finally the Next Level guys got wind of it, and then they started making clear, no, these guys are stealing stuff off our Facebook page. It's a scam, do not buy into it. And then I immediately jumped on the bandwagon. A lot of other known folks within the community jumped on the bandwagon and said, yeah, no, it's a scam, don't buy into it. And then there's always the Joe who buys into it anyway because they think they know better than we do, and then they lost their money. But the one good thing that supposedly was to come from that was that Next Level Simulation said, you know what, we are now motivated to finish this thing. And a lot of people thought maybe Next Level Simulations were behind the whole thing in the first place to maybe generate some kind of like, you know, attention or something like that. I don't believe that at all. But they came out of the shell, came out of hiding, and then they started working on it again, and they started showing previews again. And the last thing that they said on their Facebook page now the Facebook page I think is gone now. I think it's been taken down. But the last thing they said, which was literally on the day of Flight Sim Con 2015, is they said, the Next Level, and I don't, this is not verbatim, but they were like, the Next Level Simulations A380 will be by far the most complex aircraft ever developed for flight simulation. And people were like, whoa, they're talking shit up, you know, to PMDG. Whoa, those are big words. And then those were their last words, as it would turn out. And they haven't said anything for now. It'll be a year to date on the 13th of June, I believe. And now they're gone. So, getting back after that long rant, just looking at these lovely office buildings here. After that long rant, the moral of the story is, well, you need a good A380 in order to utilize those 3 jet bridges. Now, unfortunately, the only A380 that is available is, and I shouldn't say unfortunately, it is fortunate that we do have an A380 available, and that's the one from Project Airbus. It's a terrific model. It's got a terrific virtual cockpit, so I applaud them for that. I do have it. I'm not a fan of the A380 as an airplane, so I don't really spend much time with it. I don't like the A380. I think it's a huge, gargantuan, you know, monstrosity-looking airplane. I don't like it. But I know that there are a lot of people who are fans of the A380, and thankfully we do have something that's decent. I do also believe that there is a what do you call that? An FMC of some sort that I think you can integrate with it, so at least you have something that's sort of quasi useful. I do think, though, that if anyone's going to develop an A380, it has to be the Aerosoft Airbus team. And I think it needs to be the next airplane that they do. I know a lot of people probably want the A350, but I think the A380 needs to be the next airplane they do. Some people are like, well, we do need an A340. And that's true, but the A340 is like so like dying now. I mean, I don't know. I mean, for example, A340s that were built like 15 years ago have already been scrapped. Whereas I can go book a ticket on Delta and fly on a 767 from like 1993. That's the difference between like Boeing and Airbus, and I don't want to get into that whole argument, but the A340 lifespan has seemed to just die out like really fast, like in the span of like a decade and a half, or roughly 2 decades, and we're already seeing A340s disappear. So whereas I do agree that I think the Aerosoft Airbus team, which I hope are listening, I definitely think, the A340 is definitely a good idea, but then it comes down to then what A340 are they going to do? Are they going to do the 600, which is a piece of crap? Are they going to do the 500, which is probably the best one? Are they going to do the 300 or the 200? So it's a good question, because there are a lot of A340s, and everyone has the A340 that they think should be the one that should be done. So it is a very good question. There's a few airlines like Air Tahiti New and Swiss, and I think Lufthansa still fly them, but they are rapidly disappearing. So is the A340 really the big airplane of 2016? Probably not. That would definitely yield to the A380 or the A350, and as much as I think I would be interested in getting the A350, I think the A380 is probably more important of an airplane to have. So I think that, in my own opinion, should be the next big airplane from the Aerosoft Airbus team. Many of you will, without a doubt, disagree with me, and of course that's fine. But that certainly would make good use of that third jet bridge now, wouldn't it? So it'll be interesting to see what comes. But first we need the A330, which I think is that's gonna drive up Aerosoft stock when that hits the market as well. So definitely really looking forward to that. So for the most part, I think we have covered much of Frankfurt. Let's see here. I think we didn't. There's the little terminal over here where the little RJs usually park. Let's head over here really quickly. I shouldn't say terminal, but these parking pads over here. We'll take a quick gander. And then next is night lighting. And for the night lighting, I think we should switch into an aircraft and taxi around for night lighting. So let's go ahead and let's do that next. So your screen will go dark. Oh, my iPhone's running out of battery. I need to plug that in. Alright, let's go ahead and land the helicopter and take a look at the night lighting. Let's see, where is the runway? We'll plop it down right here on the center of the runway. We'll switch aircraft, move down to the night lighting, and see what this baby looks like from the virtual cockpit. Or should I say flight deck. Maybe I can try to bring back some AI. I don't know if the AI will come back. There is a bug in Prepared version 3 where once I kill the AI, they don't come back until after I restart the simulator. There's some low resolution photo reel there. Yikes. Woo. Woo. Losing control. Losing control. Alright, let's set this down here. Ooh, that was a rough landing. Alright, 1 second to switch aircraft here. Your screen's going to go blank, but you can still watch me live on Periscope. Give me just 1 second to switch aircraft here. Or change vehicle. I don't know why they call it that. And I need to plug in my phone. And for Fabian, let me go ahead and type in what at least one quiz question, and you tell me if you think that's good or not. Let's see here. And I actually don't know the answer to this question, Fabian, so you might need to research this real quick. All right, I'm sending that question now, Fabian, and take a look at that and tell me what you think about that as one of the quiz questions for the giveaway. Nope, not a good one. Or do you not know the answer? Oh, wow. Okay, he's gonna have to. Okay, that was a hard one. Okay, he's gonna try to see if he can find the answer to that. That's okay. I guess that might have been a good one. All right, let's see if he can find the answer to that one. I'll have to think of something else. Let me go ahead and find our aircraft. I thought that was gonna be an easy one. I guess not. Okay, let's see here. PMDG. Let's go for that. I've been getting to know this lovely little airplane. I haven't had any liveries put on it yet. I'm still learning. I'm actually hoping that Airline 2 Sim, I can't wait for their PMDG training course. That is just going to be like super awesome. I'm like really stoked about the PMDG training course from Airline 2 Sim. I am going to learn so much from that. Oh, no, I think it'll work. Let's hope it works. Oh shoot, is it going to crash the simulator? PMDG planes do not like to be selected like on the whim like that. They are very picky. Let's take a look at some comments here. Captain Gumbo says Black Box Simulations wants to develop an A380, and then there's like this really weird looking Freddy Krueger laugh thing going on there. That's kind of funny. Let's see here. Plugged in my... let's see. Flight Sim Labs will hopefully... Oh, I'm not going to read that. Why do people insist on asking for release dates? You know you're not going to get an answer. And Air Janot is asking, can you show us the night textures? Yes, Mr. Janot. They are coming up shortly. And going back to the jetways and the transparent thing, Captain Gamo said, I know it's up to the developer. I was asking if it's possible to make the jetways in the update. Yeah, that comes down to the developer, and I don't think they're going to do it. I really do doubt that. And another thing Gombo points out, a great feature of 8 is the specific pushback, which, yes, thank you for pointing that out, by the way. But again, I think everything about AES is just better. To me, it's the best. But, you know, again, that's going to be my own little opinion. And I actually like configuring AES because I like that I can make everything specific to each aircraft. You know, like, for example, I might want to set up certain doors on a 747 for one particular flight, and maybe for another particular flight I want to use a different set of doors for jet bridges. I just like having that ability to do that. Let's see, Fabian is still looking for the answer to my question. We'll have to find something. We may have to find something else. You know, it'd be great to see Flight Sim Labs bang out an A380. That would be killer, but you know that ain't gonna come until 2025. Let's see here. And FLEWA says the A380 just looks like those monstrous cruise ships. I don't know. Maybe if the head was like more aerodynamic, it has like this really big like bulging forehead thing. I don't know. The MD-12, I don't know if any of you are aware of the MD-12, but McDonnell Douglas was planning on building the world's first triple-decker aircraft, or whatever you want to call it, and theirs was much more aerodynamic on the nose section. But anyway, I don't want to beat up too much on Airbus, because I know there's a lot of Airbus fans up in here. And Z Muffer Man says PMDG needs to hurry up with the 747. Yeah, I still think it's in beta, but that's just my opinion. Let's see here. Okay. Oh, okay. Fabian is back. Let me take a quick look at this. Give me just a second, folks. Hopefully this is the right answer, because I would hate for someone to give another answer that is not this, and then that turns out to be a right answer. Then it's like, oh, that's wrong. Okay. Oh, yeah, I have that package. Okay. Alright. Give me a second here. Let me reply back to Fabian. Let's just figure out really quickly how we're going to do this real quick. And I'm going to need to grab my Trek IR antler. Good job, Fabian. Okay, let me read this one more time. Okay, so let's start the first giveaway right now. I'm gonna post the question in the chat, and then I will release it. I mean, I will speak it, and then I will put it in the chat. And I guess we'll do first come, first serve on this. Let's see here. Let's pull back here and at least have something to look at while we're going to do the first giveaway now. I think he said we were going to do 2. So let's do the first one now. Let's just get that out of the way. Fabian, I did send you one more question. I just want to make sure because it's going to be a date of what and a date of when. It's going to be a 2-part question. Or do you think that's too complicated? Nah, I don't think we need to do when. I will say when. Maybe it'll be just extra credit points if you get the when in there. And I guess how we'll do this. Okay, it was okay. And then how we'll do this, Fabian, is I'm going to post your email address up there. So get ready to get like super spammed. And how this works is this is going to be a first come, first serve, I guess. Whoever gets it right first and gets the email over to Fabian with the correct answer, I guess will work. And we need to name the title. Okay. Do we name the title or should they name the title? Let me see. I'm sorry. I'm chatting with Fabian in the private chat here. Give me a second. So do we ask them what the title is, or are they going to tell us what the title is? He says his inbox is already flooding. We haven't started. We name. Okay. All right, here we go. So the first thing we need to do is we need to post Fabian's email address. They need to guess the year of release. Okay, so you guys are going to guess the year of release and what's included. Okay. All right, so let's do this. All right, we're going to put, okay, so let's first start. We're going to put up there's Fabian's email address. Here it comes. And you will write the answer because the answer, I haven't given the question yet, so relax, guys. Fabian, Fabian needs to put a link up. I'm sorry, Fabian. Let me, oh, no, yeah, you should be able to, oh, hang on. All right, Fabian, try putting your link up again. Sorry about that. There's Fabian's email address. It's getting ready to get set on fire. How many people are watching now? Woohoo. 84. Okay. You should be able to put your email up now. I did it as well, but you should be able to put in links now. All right. So I need to type the question in and ask it. So let me do that. Try to do that at the same time. So let me put this in the form of a question here. Because once you guys get it, you guys are going to be on a rampage. And okay, where's that link again? Okay, here we go. Actually, I'm confused, Fabian. I don't think this is the right one. Hang on a second. Because it says... check the private chat there, Fabian. Just want to make sure I'm getting it right because that's what I'm seeing there. Oh, wait a minute. Was I supposed to scroll down? Or... oh, okay. I get it now. Oh, I see. Okay, I get it. All right, we're on track, folks. Sorry about that. Okay, here we go. Okay, I'm typing now. I'm typing in the question, folks. Stand by. I know they're ready. You think it's easy, Fabian? All right. We'll stick with this one because they're all going to have to rush. So I think the hard part is going to be, even if the question is easy, the hard part is probably going to be, number one, they still have to get the year. So that might not be easy. Let's see. So they still have to get the answer correct. But then they're going to be racing each other to see who gets there first. So I think that's going to be the fun part, is who's going to get there first. I think that'll be the hard part. All right, here we go. Let me read this. Okay, here we go. So, folks, you have Fabian's email address there. And there's a little bit of delay, so I'm going to read it first, and then I'm going to post it. Ooh, how did I get that? Okay, so here's the question. Here we go. And actually, let me just make sure. Yep, I think that's right. Okay, here we go. So, the question for the first giveaway is, what airports were included in German Airports Volume 3, and what was the year of release? Email your questions to this email address. I'm going to put it right here. Do not put the answer in the chat, please. Send the answer directly to Fabian's email address. And once again, that question is, what airports were included in the German Airports Volume 3 package, and what was the year of release? So you have to get all of the airports in that package. They have to be right. And you have to have the correct year that that package was released. And then email Fabian with the provided address. And Fabian already has his second question ready to go, but we will, yeah, everyone's quiet now. No one's in the chat. Everyone's running around researching. Should I continue with the stream now, or are they going to miss it? So, do not post the answer in the chat, please. Send it directly to Fabian, and the winner will get, I guess, oh, it looks like someone said they already got it. Oh, we already have a winner. Oh, that was fast. That was fast. Wow. I'm actually concerned now, Fabian, about your question. Do you think everyone's going to run to that quote-unquote website to get the answer? Wow. Okay, let's wait on Fabian really quickly to get who the winner was, so we can give a congratulations and a quick ask of what product they're going to choose. Wizkas. Is that the name of the person who won? Wizkas looks like was the winner. Oh, that was fast. You guys don't screw around. Let's see. Wow. Oh, guys. Wow. Wow, that was crazy. Okay. All right, so Fabian, for the next one, and then let's get through the night lighting preview here. And then after the night lighting preview, then we'll go with the next giveaway. So he got 43 emails just in that 60 seconds, I guess. Wow, that was amazing. That was amazing. That was quick. You guys don't fool around. Do we know what Wizkas chose as his winning thing here? I guess Fabian needs time to email him back. So I see a lot of sad faces and crying faces. There's going to be one more chance. One more chance coming up. This is actually kind of fun. There'll be one more chance coming up after the night lighting preview. So let's go ahead and change over to nighttime now. Let's see here. Time and season. Let's try. 1800 and see what that looks like. And everyone got it right. Wow. Everyone got it right. So I guess it really was, the hard part was who would get it first. So it was an easy enough question, but hard enough to get through the email quickly. So, wow. And here comes all the answers now. Looks like some of you guys, no, some of the answers actually weren't right. Paderborn, Lippstadt, I don't think was in there. You had the correct answer was Dusseldorf, Bremen, Hamburg, Kiel, Erfurt. Oh crap! How do I pronounce that? Mönchengladbach. Sorry. Berlin, Tegel, and Lübeck. And I believe the release year was 2000. Third edition 2000. This was yikes, June of 2000. June 12th, 2000 looks like was the correct answer to that. So there we go. So congratulations to the winner. And yeah, he's pointing up now. Yeah, some of those were wrong. Yep. All right, so let's take a look at the night lighting. Ooh, it's still too much sunlight here. We need to go a little bit darker. Time and season. Wow, that's 18. All right, 1900 hours. Let's see. It should be a little bit darker now. Just loading. And we'll get to the next question. Hopefully, I think everyone's going to be like on the gun trigger next time for this next one. This next one that Fabian has, this is a good one. Because even I didn't know the answer to this one. So this is going to be a good one. The next question is going to be a good one. So be ready to be on your toes for the next giveaway. You'll have one more chance. And the link that Fabian pulled up was an Aerosoft link from the year 2000. So that's pretty amazing. Why am I not... this is 7 o'clock and there's still like so much light here? Wow. Okay, time and season. Let's go 8 o'clock. Yikes. Does it ever get dark in Germany? No kidding. And that was for FS98. Wow. That is amazing. That is amazing. FS98, I did not have any freeware, any payware for that. I was flying all freeware stuff that I had gotten like off of Flyaway Simulation, I think was a website where I used to get all my freeware back in 1998. Wow. Incredible. Incredible. Okay, something is not right. The time isn't changing here. Uh-oh. What's going on here? Why is it still daylight? There we go. Now it's loading something. I'm like, it's taking so long to get dark here. Sorry about that, folks. Just give us a minute. Oh my gosh, it's 1:21 already, and I started this just past 11? Wow, we're pushing 3 hours here. We need to get through this. All right, we need a. People got stuff to do. And Fabian says the pages were nice in 1997. There we go. Now we've got nightlight, but I want a little bit of sky in here. Let's get just a little bit of some sky textures. That looks pretty. All right, let's do that. I like that. Let me take a quick look at this page, this Aerosoft page from 1997. Wow, look at that. I got to put this up on Air Daily X. Holy crap. That is awesome. And the wow. Okay, I'm definitely going to post that up on the website after the stream. That Aerosoft page from 1990. Look at that, like HTML. Look at that, Netscape version 3.0, new. Oh my God. Who remembers Netscape? That is beautiful. That is awesome. That is hilarious. Thanks for sharing that. Okay, let me grab my Trek IR half antler here. Let's put that on, and let's see, I'm way too close to the panel here. Move that back a bit. That should work. How about taxi lights? And I guess I should have beacon, nav, logo. What the hell? Wing as well. All right, let's go ahead and taxi over to the terminal. I did say I was going to turn on AI, didn't I? I don't think I'm going to do that now. And that is because frame rates with the PMG DG777, I was at, before this thing, I was at 70, I was in the 70s. The frame rates now is, the peak is 35, oop, nope, 37. The peak is now 37, and the low end is 28. So between 28 and 37 frames per second right now. This is with no AI traffic. Let me try to put some AI back in here really quickly. That's just, I mean, this airport just is not beautiful without AI. I'm sorry. I got to at least put a little bit of AI in. I don't think they're going to come back, though. I don't know. There is a bug with version 3 of Prepared where AI doesn't come back once you kill them. So let's see if they come back really quickly. I can't look at Frankfurt without AI traffic. I just can't. There we go. All right, I set it to 100% AI traffic just to see, because again, there were a lot of complaints with this airport about performance. So this is 100% AI. Frame rates are now 20. The low end 20. Let's see if it goes below 20. We're still at 20, and the high end 28. I haven't seen higher than 28 yet. $27, 18, 18.7 at the low mark, and 28 at the highest mark. Performance-wise, so you can see here, just panning around the flight deck here, you can see it's a little stuttery with all that AI traffic. Oh wow, I need to look ahead and not to the side, otherwise I'm going to go off into the dirt here. Yeah. So you can clearly see here, the night lighting actually is really nice. Let's look over here to the left. The night lighting is really nicely done. Let's taxi over to those 3D taxi bridges. I at least want to run over one of those. One of you guys was asking for me to go back down there anyway, so I think now is an excellent opportunity for us to go ahead and run over one of those taxi bridges and see how they work out. So let's go ahead and do that first, and then we'll make our way back over to the main terminal area. So in my system, while broadcasting, frame rates in the 20s. With 100% AI. Look at them all lined up over there. They are all lined up. I can't seem to keep this fat thing on the center line. One thing I can say about the PMDG 777, and I have no idea what it's like to fly a real 777, but this is what I have to imagine flying a real 777 is like, because there's something about it that feels heavy, and when you turn corners, I don't know, it has a feeling to it that's unlike any other aircraft that I've ever flown in Flight Simulator. It's like it just, when you turn corners with it, it just feels like you're dragging like a basketball court behind you or something. It's weird. Oop, too much. Look at the night lighting. The night lighting is impressive. Where they kind of let me down a little bit with that water masking, haha. They certainly won me back with the night lighting. Night lighting looks really good here. Making our way over to that runway, which is down here somewhere. Wow, very lovely. Taxi signs are nicely lit. Take a look at the taxi signs. Is that Cat 3 ILS? Or Cat 1, Cat 2, Cat 3, yeah. Category 1, 2, and 3. And we're going to cross this runway here. Frame rate still in the high, actually the highest, it's topping out at 27 frames per second. But it's kind of staying in the 20s though. I'm not seeing it dip back down to 18 since we came over here. Probably because there's no AI traffic over here. Wow, turning this thing is like really swinging like a long bus. I guess I'm going too fast too. 30 knots trying to turn a 777 is probably not very smart. Alright, let's swing this corner over here. And there's a little incline going up the bridge there, which is very nice. And again, I love the fences. They even included the fences on the sides of the bridge there, which is a nice attention to detail. I don't think fences cover the entire airport perimeter though, but in this little area it's nice. Here we go, up the bridge. There we go. Nice, very smooth transition going up the hill here. Nice and smooth transition. And now here we are going right over the bridge. Is the aircraft going to bump or do a wheelie or anything like that? No. Very smooth transition. Let's stop right here on the bridge really quickly. Wait for the textures to load. There we go. Nice bridge. Nice and smooth going up there. No bumps. No popping a wheelie or anything like that. Very nice. And another thing, too, that I really wanted to point out with the scenery as well that I really liked was here on the signs. All the signs are actually actual signs, and they're all in their right place. So you're not just looking at default, you know, random freeway signs that just say Frankfurt that way. You know, he's actually done all the signs, or the team has done all the signs and put them all in the right place. So I'm very pleased with that. Very impressed with the taxi bridges. I love, look at the little gates, the little fences here. Look at that. Very nicely done. Really impressed with that. So I'm digging it. I'm digging it. The road, obviously, if I would have done anything differently, I would say that I probably would have made the roads instead of photoreal, hand-drawn roads so that they're nice and crispy. What stream did I do recently? Aerosoft Prague. That was one thing I was really impressed with Aerosoft Prague, is they didn't yield to photoreal anywhere. And I really loved that. I loved that all the roads around the airport were like hand-drawn roads instead of the whole photoreal thing. So very impressed with Prague in that regard. Here, photoreal, but nevertheless, nice to see that. Let's go ahead and come back around full circle. We'll head over. We'll go to the other taxi bridge and come back. We'll head over to the terminal and park and do the last giveaway and conclude this jalopy. This has been a long stream. Well, I guess a long stream for a long wait from a very much anticipated airport. And the stream time, I think, started at a pretty good time because everyone was like just like finishing dinner and putting the kids to bed and done with work for the day. So looks like we picked the right time for Europe anyway. So you can see when I pan around there it does get a little bit stuttery there, and I'm assuming it's all that AI. Just try to swing a wide circle here. And I actually haven't eaten breakfast yet. It's 1:30 in the afternoon in Los Angeles. All right, here we go. And just a reminder, folks, we are broadcasting both on Twitch and Periscope. So make sure that you sign up for the Periscope and give us a like. For those of you who will not be able to make it at Flight SimCon 2016, you'll be able to see some things live. Also curious how the quality is on that, because Whenever I've looked at any Periscope videos, it always seems very pixelated. So I'm very curious about the quality of the video, if it's, you know, if it's even going to be worth it to go through all that. But okay, here we go. Coming up the next, I should slow down a little bit here. Coming up on the next bridge, back up the hill. Woo, going a little fast there, buddy. I thought I was going to fly off the edge. Yeah, these things aren't exactly race cars. They don't, they can't turn corners at 60 miles an hour. Boy, the night lighting is really well done here. I really am impressed with the night lighting here. Very nice. I must say, the German airports team they've done quite a decent job indeed. That's me being diplomatic, isn't it? No, they really have. Oh, look at him climbing out hard, huh? Who is that? Lufthansa on the way somewhere. They have really done a really good job. I am very much happy to say at this point that you know, Mir pointed out, I don't know if you saw the article in Air Daily X, but he's made it clear they're not doing Frankfurt, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I think some people are still going to be disappointed, but I think after you fly into and out of this airport, I think you're going to pretty much forget and move on, and I think you should. See, if that was AES, he would have stopped for me. Yeah, I think you will forget. And you'll enjoy this. I really believe you will. Additionally, one of the things that Mir pointed out, I probably should have gone out a little bit further before making this turn. One of the things that Mir pointed out is that he's hoping that you're going to be pleased with some of the announcements that Flightbeam will be making in the near future in terms of some of the airports that they're working on. I know what some of those airports are, and I can tell you, some of you, when you find out, you're going to freak out. You're going to forget all about that Flightbeam ever even announced to Frankfurt. So all I can say is be patient in regards to that. But as far as Frankfurt is concerned, I mean, what more pretty much do you want at this point besides moving jetways and you're set? You know. Now, what more would I want? Well, I think I've already pointed out all the areas that I think can use some work. There's quite a few areas there that can use a little bit of work, but ultimately, look at that. Just look at it. Look at that. Look at with the sky and the lights and everything. That looks beautiful, doesn't it? Look at the blue lighting there on the hotel across the street there. Am I even on the taxiway still? Jeez. So at least I'm pleased that even though no AES light in P3D, they still added some animated traffic. And whereas, yes, you'll run over them, still looks good. I'm so glad at the very least that they added them. I'm just going to run you over, sucker! Between Tug and 777, who wins? Who wins? All right. And you can see here, Lufthansa filling up all the gates. So mind you, this is 100% AI right now. So if things are looking a bit slow, I mean, this is 100% AI. So I think all the comments about, and before we, and just a reminder, before we loaded up the AI, the frames per second were like 35 with a PMDG 777. So, I mean, when you really think about it, the complaints about performance, I don't know, guys. I mean, I'm streaming live with the broadcast software and everything. And I mean, I'm getting some decent frame rates. You do get the little slight stutters when you pan around. Usually when you're flying, you're not spending a whole lot of time panning around anyway, so that's not really all that big of a deal. These two fat asses are just going to sit there and block me, hunt, so I'm going to have to go through them. But I mean, let's be honest. I mean, the performance is what I would expect from just about any mega airport in this particular airplane with all of this freaking AI. So I don't have any concerns about performance at all. No concerns at all. I'm gonna go through you, and I'm gonna go through you. Screw you guys, I'm going home. Let's find a place to park. I guess I'll just park right here, huh? Let me see if I can swing this corner right here and park right there. Let's see. Or maybe I should I go all the way down to the end? Maybe I'll just go all the way down to the end. I was going to park at that gate right there. But I can go to the end. I installed the Sky Textures by Navid. Do a search on AirDailyX for that. Textures are really pretty. And there's a 777 on approach to that far end runway down there. These Navid Sky Textures, very nice. Very. So yeah, the frame's 21 now. 21, 22 now. They start to get a little bit lower when you come here. I come all the way down here because I was afraid that I wasn't going to find a gate. And I'm starting to think that I'm not. Oh wait, no, there's a gate right there. So yeah, the frame's 21 now. 21, 22 now. They start to get a little bit lower when you come here over on this area for some reason. Alright, let's pick, oh shoot, I'm way off the center line here. We'll go with this gate right here. We'll just pull right on up to it. So, obviously, you don't get that beautiful transparent glass to see inside the terminal at night. Which is really the only, only thing I'd probably love to add to this airport, but nevertheless, it still looks very good. I'm going to switch to the outside now because I don't know if I'm on the center line or not. Yeah, a little bit left of center there. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Frankfurt. That's my terrible German accent there. Sorry about that, guys. All right, here we go. So no animated jet bridges, unfortunately. But that will soon change, according to Aerosoft's Fabian, who has reminded us that, or has announced rather, that we will have SODI animated jet bridges coming up soon. The team is working on it, as well as we've learned officially that Oliver is in the process of working on implementing AES for P3D. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Frankfurt from the German airports team. Let's go ahead and let's do that final quiz. So let's go ahead and get ready, folks. We'll give you this nice view to look at. I think that's a pretty view, isn't it? We'll give you this nice view to look at while we get ready for the quiz. So ladies and gentlemen, get ready. Brody says, rest in peace, little airport truck. And Fabian does say there actually is a post in the Aerosoft forum about the AES work, so that's good. Just a reminder, Brody there in the chat. Okay, English only, please. I understand if some of you need to speak German if you don't understand English too well to communicate with Fabian. But yeah, we need to not be posting anything other than English, please. Thank you. All right, so let's go ahead and start the next quiz. Here we go. All right, let's see. How am I going to word this here? Okay, well, it's a very simple question. Do you guys need, does anyone need Fabian's email address again? Put it up one more time in case anyone missed it. I don't want anyone to say, I didn't get the email address and that's why I was so slow. So let me punch in the email address one more time. Oh, there it is. Fabian's got it. There's the email address. All right, folks, so be ready. Be ready. The question is coming up right now. and I'm going to read it. All right, here we go. Drum roll, please. Here we go. Flight. Oh, wait a minute. The anticipation is killing you guys, isn't it? Okay, drum roll. Here we go. This is an easy one, so just remember, you have to be fast to get it to Fabian with the right answer, or you don't win. So that's the hard part, is being first. So I'm sure everyone's got the email already open and ready to go. Here it is. That's a pretty picture. Okay, here we go. Although Fabian is not that cute looking at that picture there. No offense. Here it is, folks. All right. Flight Simulator 1.0 was released in what year? There's the question. It's now in the chat. Flight Simulator 1.0 was released in what year? Go, 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 go. They're rushing. Well, Fabian, you can try to grow out like some long blonde hair, and then let's come back and take a look. Here we go. So Fabian's email is probably now crashing the servers. Amos is done. Oh, and we have a winner. God dang, that was fast. Well, I imagine the emails would get in quickly, because I imagine some of you nerds really probably know the answer to that right off the top of your head. And the winner is... let's see, was that the right year? Yep. All right, so the winner is Rajesh Changla. Is that right? Rajesh Changla. With 1982. He was fast. Oh my God, that was fast. You guys are awesome. You guys are quick. I thought I was a nerd. You guys are incredible. Amazing. Amazing. Wow, that was great. Congratulations, Rajesh. You have just won, I guess, a product of your choice from Aerosoft. And a huge thank you. I want to have a huge, huge thank you to Aerosoft and to Fabian for doing these wonderful giveaways. I think that was very, very kind of him and Aerosoft, who are really, really engaged in the flight simulation community. And I'm sorry reading some of these comments. Here comes the bitterness. Oh, wow, so funny. But yes, indeed, a huge... Actually, you know what? Let me just take a look at those approach lights. I'm going to do something that I never do and go into slew mode really quickly here. Look at those approach lights into that runway there. Isn't that nice? Oops. Nice looking approach lights going into the runway there. Very nicely done. Custom lighting there. The lighting here is really nicely done. It looks terrific at night. I really do have to say. In fact, just pulling up the time preview again here. Let's just take a look at full nighttime and see the full ground lighting as well, with no light coming in from the sky there. And there it is, folks. I mean, that's it. That's Mega Airport Frankfurt. It looks every bit as much of a mega airport as it should be. I did point out a few little eye candy thingies there, of which really the only, I think, real necessary changes would probably simply be the biggest thing is really the autogen trees. Of all the other things that I pointed out, those are things that, you know, I think could be done in an update or could be done differently, but they're not really a big deal so much as it is those large exclusion zones with the autogen trees. But other than that, I really didn't have anything negative to say. I was wondering, you know, is it really going to not meet my expectations? But for an airport of this size, it really has. There are other little subtle things here that I would usually point out in smaller airports. But for an airport of this size, I usually don't, you know, nig on those things like parking lots on top of photoreels, stuff like that. I don't really point stuff like that out on an airport of this size, just because the airport is so big. Now, again, certain developers, even with mega airports, are really going to, deck out those parking lots nice and sweet. But usually with an airport of this size, I don't make that much of a big deal of it, because you have to point out all the other things that really go into a mega airport of this size. So that's the only reason why I didn't point it out, even though technically I just did. But aside from that, I mean, it really is. I mean, it's Frankfurt, baby. I mean, there it is. So, ignore all of my opinions, and put the whole thing on silent, and just see it for yourself and determine for yourself, do you think this will suit your needs as Mega Airport Frankfurt? And I truly believe a lot of you will come away with a yes answer, that it really is a well done airport. So I do tip my hat off to Aerosoft and to the German airports team for finally getting this out to the community. Animated jet bridges are coming out soon, of course, which is going to be a very welcome sight, I think, for a lot of people. I was asking, did I check the fence? It doesn't cover the full perimeter of the airport. I did, but it was done in some areas as well. But yeah, there are some missing fences in there. I did notice that, so thanks for pointing that out. So once again, and the water mask. The water mask is not that big a deal, but if I see it and it's not done, I am going to point it out, and I think I beat that horse pretty well, so I don't think there's any point in me beating that horse any further. So again, a huge thank you to Fabian. Thanks so much for getting involved. In the next stream, I think Fabian will be coming on with me live. He's working on these wonderful applications for both iOS and Android. He's working really hard at that, and we'll be taking a really good in-depth look at that very soon as well. He'll be coming on and joining me. So thank you, Fabian, so much for all of your help and assistance there. Let's see, what am I looking at here? Oh, I'm seeing some other messages popping up separately. So other than that, folks, thank you for tuning in to another long Aero Daily X live stream. I'm trying to get all of this stuff out before I go on vacation, which includes Flight SimCon. So I'm trying to get as much done as I possibly can before I'm gone. So we'll see what else gets released between now and then. I think the next stream will be, if not the Eastern European live stream, then certainly the next Orbix scenery. So we'll see how it goes. But folks, once again, thanks for tuning in, and as always, for all of your flight simulation needs, airdailyx.net. I will see you next time. Enjoy the rest of your, is it Wednesday or Thursday? Sorry. I don't know what day it is. Holy crap, it's Thursday. Yeah. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday evening, and we'll see you next time. Good night, everybody.